Friday of the month. It's March 18th. We have Presiding Commissioner Darrell Skiles with us, and a little bit of rain as well.
Good morning.
Good to have you here, my friend.
It's raining.
Yeah, it didn't float in.
No, boy, I tell you, it's coming down, though.
Yeah, it sure
coming
is.
down. I expect there'll be a little bit of washing here and there.
I'm sure there will.
Creeks may be up. I don't know. It's going to kind of break up a little bit here for later this afternoon.
Well, for a while, and then we'll get it back again this afternoon. But Darrell, we look at the rain coming down, and boy, our county guys have done a tremendous job getting out there and getting a lot of these roads regraded. They've really needed it for some time, and here we're going to get these hard rains that may just wash a little bit of all that work that they did away. Let's hope not. But
they've done a lot of work getting the culverts opened up and stuff. But when you get rain like this, there's so much material comes floating in down the ditches from the fields and things, and they clog the culverts. And so anyway, and that's one disadvantage I think people may not realize, that we have, that, so many of our culverts where they go under the roads, they're the smaller culverts. MoDOT by and large, the culverts that go under the roads are big 2-foot, 3-foot culverts and stuff, and they can flush a lot of material through. A lot of sticks, leaves, the debris will clog up, on one end of the culvert and things, and cause some problems. Sometimes basketballs will even end up in a culvert and stop them up. That's a whole nother story.
Or two.
Or that's a whole nother story. But at any rate, there's a lot of rain coming down. But that's okay. We can use the rain. It's about 55 degrees out there, so the grass is greening up. I couldn't believe how much the grass greened up just from the rain already.
I know, isn't that crazy? Growing too.
It's that time. Yep. So. Anyway,
I didn't see a lot of buds. I was looking around the other night on the trees.
Not quite yet.
See a lot out there yet. So,
and I'm still waiting for the first turkeys to gobble. So
I haven't heard of them.
Trout season started, so the unofficial first day of spring was opening of trout season. I'm waiting for the turkeys to gobble.
Pretty close though.
It's a great time to be in Dent County though. We've got a lot of things going on. Got the road rally here this weekend.
That was going to be my next thing coming up.
Yep.
And that
Read your
is
mind.
in Washington County today, and they're going to have their park expose this afternoon. Dent County's will be at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Up on 4th Street. It's back. Look for a good turnout. We got some of the biggest names in racing are going to be here again, and they've got a large turnout of rally racers that'll be here. And the rally racing folks tell us that this is one of their favorite areas to come to, and they really enjoy the public embrace of what they're doing.
And they got 6 spectator spots in Dent County for Saturday, which I remember having 4, but I don't ever remember having 6. So hopefully, if you have had troubles finding a location before, maybe it'll be a little bit easier for you. But again, watch out for private property rights. It's still pretty wet out there. And
that's right.
Please don't park in an area you're not going to be able to get out. That's just a little common sense.
Especially with this rain, it's going to soften up the roadsides and the ditches.
Which is already soft to begin with, Darrell.
Yep, in places it was. So, but it is. It's a neat weekend. Everything. The restaurants and the motels, hotels are busy and things. So it's always a little boost in the arm, economic wise, for the county when the rally's here. So we enjoy it. And Washington County, I know, is excited to have them over there. They talked about that at our last MRPC meeting, and we're excited to have them over there. As you say, there are park exposés today. I hope the weather clears up enough to let that go off.
I think this afternoon it actually should be somewhat dry for a little while.
Yeah.
So
sounds great for us in the morning, to be a little cool in the morning. Yeah. But that's okay. There's been sometimes, this thing used to be moved up at the end of February.
Yeah.
And we've had pretty cool mornings, had snow and things for the.
At least we're not backing up to the opening of trout season like we did that one year. Wow, was that crazy?
Yeah.
Road rally,
trout season, same weekend. So anyway, lots of good stuff going on. Road and bridge crews are going to be busy though.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully we won't have so much rain that it causes any major damage, but we're ready to deal with it if it does. I will mention we are seeking bids for grater blades.
Right.
It's one of the things we got done, and those bids will be due back in by 10 a.m. March the 28th. We've got something else due back on March the 28th.
You got bids for the sheriff's car.
Maybe that's it. So we'll open all those at
March 28th at 10 o'clock, or right after 10.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and mention that the sheriff is seeking bids to sell a 2011 used Dodge Charger patrol car. And those bids are due 10 a.m. March 28th. And anybody that would like to take a look at it, it's on the lot down by the sheriff's office. Call the sheriff's office at 729-3241 and set up a time to come and look at it and make a pretty decent extra vehicle for somebody.
Very good. Well, we did receive some sales tax monies as well, Darrell, but we really don't have much to compare with from last year.
Can't do much of a year-to-year comparison because of the sales tax withholding from last year due to Department of Revenue screw up. But but it looks good. The sales tax come in for general revenue and law enforcement is $85,600. Year to date, it's about $206,000. A little over. Road and bridge sales tax $39,400, and again for last year it was zero for all the funds and then the two jail funds $78,900 each, for a total of year to date $188,500 for each of those. So when I go back and look at those, going back to years previously and so on, those are good. Those are good figures. It indicates things are happening and things are booming economic-wise.
Forward, yeah.
Anyway,
a lot of stuff going on right now. Of course, we all know. I wanted to remind everybody that Denton County and City of Salem Economic Development Director Sally Burbridge is there. A lot of people, I keep hearing people want to talk about starting businesses, Darrell, but they don't know how. And Sally is your best tool to get that done.
Call City of Salem, ask for Sally Burbridge, Economic Development Director. She's got all kinds of information that she can help you with. She sits on the Merrimack Regional Development Corporation Board. That's one of our sub-boards over at MRPC. Right. We appointed her to that, and they sit on that. There's ways they can help that gap money when people are trying to get a loan for a business. Sometimes a bank will only do 40, 50, 60% of the needed capital that it takes, and through Merrimack Regional Development Corporation, lots of times they can fill in some of those gaps with some SBA loans and other. They've got other various funds that they can tap into to fill those gaps. Sally knows that, and there's all kinds of various programs that can be tapped. And she is your absolute best source of information to go to here locally for help in finding funding and to getting a small business, and help you with where you need to get to as far as your various, depending on where you're at, as far as your licenses and permitting and so forth and so on. And of course, she's working very hard right now too on the getting that certified site.
It's a little wet right now.
Yeah, probably not much going on out there today, but they're getting it cleared off, and to have a certified ready site, which will be a big plus for a larger type business thing coming in. So anyway, my hat's off to Sally. It's kind of a partnership effort between the county and the city, and her position there, with the bulk of it coming through the city, and really appreciate the city's commitment to that position and getting that done. I think it's important for the county, for the city, and for the region. Sally's done a great job reaching out region-wise here, working with Rolla folks and
Delta
Phelps
Regional
County.
Authority.
Yes, working through the Delta Region Authority, the state and federal people, but also then working also with some of our counties south of us.
Yes.
There's some things maybe that together we can work on that maybe if it isn't located in Dick County, if it can be in one of our neighboring counties. We've had lots of folks go down and work at Echo Bluff from here. It all comes together, and people find good jobs and employment.
You think about the Doe Run mine and the battery plant.
That's right.
You got different people from all those areas.
Goodness, yes.
Going to those.
Absolutely.
And one of the neat things that Sally has on the website, by the way, if you're new to trying to think about starting a business, is that she has that whole list of things that you need to get. A lot of times people say, well, I know I need to get a city license. Well, you need to get a state number and a federal number, and all that's available. It's on the website at the city, the county, and the chambers share. You can go to the city and look under starting a business, and it's all right there for you. Makes it easy. Now, Sally did send out a request yesterday. They're still trying to get information on broadband. They're again asking people to please do broadband speed tests.
Do them speed tests. The state is wanting more of that information badly as well, and the state may actually even go ahead and employ somebody to do a lot of this work, but we can do a lot of it ourselves. Just going on, it's not hard to do to get those speed tests done, because that's going to be key to driving how much money goes where to determine what are the underserved or unserved areas of the state.
Right. So if you would please do that, I can't remember the numbers offhand,
I
but
don't have it
if
either,
you
but-
go to city or chamber or county website, I think Sally has it on there how to take that speed test.
That's right. The information's there. We got folks at MRPC that are working on that as well. Right. And I do believe, I believe Sally has that latest information from MRPC too on doing that and how to do it and so on. And I think the information that came from MRPC says the city needs that information, but really it's more than the city. The counties, every county needs all that information, and the state needs it then to help drive the distribution of these funds. And Representative Copeland and Senator Brown has talked about this. There's several million states going to be putting out there. B.J. Tanksley, and we'll have him down here sometime for a meeting as the new guy that's going to be working on broadband development for the state. And worked with Farm Bureau for years, and a good person, and there is a serious drive to and there's just so many different ways to accomplish that and attack it. But first thing you got to do is identify the areas that are unserved or underserved.
Well, that's just it. And that's why they need those speed tests. So, gang, if you can, and it doesn't matter where you are in the county, just go to salemo.com and do that, or go on your phone. Especially if you have mobile pieces, go to those different areas that you're in.
And even if you have none, go somewhere and find a hot spot. If you've got a cell phone, whatever, go somewhere and find a spot and get on there and just relay that information that you'd have none. If you
if you have an address there, make sure you get that in. There's there's two systems you can use. I think actually it's three, but two systems that Sally recommends. One of them you can actually just, if you have none, you just go someplace and put in none. The other one, you have to actually go find a physical address. So. And nonetheless, though, please, if you would do that, we need everybody on board who we can to take those speed tests. Even if you take one today and you say you're in town, maybe tomorrow you're going to be south of town or east of town or west of town, take another one. Constantly be taking those tests in different locations.
Because it marks those spots. As you do that information and key it in, then it marks them spots as to how much broadband is available in these different spots. Exactly. So we need to really draw a good, accurate picture of the county of how much broadband is available and where, and because there will be some dollars made available to the various companies. They're not trying to pick winners and losers out of this thing. There's just going to be dollars available to companies if they're in the broadband business, there'll be some dollars been made available that will help them put the infrastructure in place to make it more available.
Especially if you're in a remote area, Darrell, because if you're in a back Denton County Road way off in the backwoods and maybe the back 40 out there, and you don't get any service out there, but then you get up on the highway and you've got service, you definitely want to let them know that, because that will affect possible development down the road. If somebody wanted to build something there and there's no internet, they may back off of their commitment.
Yep.
So just wanted to pass that on. Because
anyway, there's some things. There's going to be some exciting things happening here over the next couple of years, I believe. I'm firmly convinced, all across the state and across the country. I mean, all across the country, getting good, high-speed available internet out there is a priority, I think, now finally, and so look forward to that.
I do read Missouri was one of the top 6 states that had the least amount, or had the most amount of areas not covered by internet.
Right, and we know even those figures aren't even actually accurate as to how much is underserved or unserved. That it's even worse than what that picture paints.
Well, and the thing was, it was one of the top 6 with the most area. However, it was I think the top 2 with the most population that does not have internet. Because out in Arizona, or where there's a desert area and there's nothing there, well, there is no internet there either.
Right, but people either.
But no people. So, look, the iguanas don't really care about the internet yet, I don't think.
Or the desert tortoise.
Yeah. Well, he'll get there eventually. No problem. But anyway, please, again, if you can, take those speed tests on your phone, tablet, CPU, wherever. If you've already done it one time at your house, that's great. Do it again, just to see if anything has gotten better. But at least let them know that you're there, and as many different locations we can.
Before we go further, I was just going to mention here, I noticed in my notes I had that going back to Road and Bridge, we did approve bids for 7,000 gallons of diesel. Obviously,
bring that up.
We go through,
I bring that up because I'm sure the budget amount for fuel, Darrell, is nothing compared to what you're having to pay now.
We're going to probably have to do a budget adjustment. Our last bid for fuel, we took the lowest bid, and it was $3.76 a gallon. And I just went back and was looking last April, our bid, it was $1.97, so it's almost double. Almost double.
When you look at the pump price,
So,
$4.50.
Well, yeah, of course, this is for this is off-road fuel,
Sure.
so there's
But I
none
mean,
of
but
the
when you
state
look
and the
at pump
federal
price, when
tax.
people see diesel out there and they think, well, you're getting it for $3.93. You're getting a big deal.
$3.76
yeah,
is what it
you know,
costs.
whatever.
But yeah, at the
not
pump,
the
it's
same diesel.
No, it's at the pump. It's much higher than that for you to fill your pickup and so on. Of course, diesel right now is unreasonably high compared to gas, but it's all through the roof, and you can only hope that somewhere along the line at a federal level we get our heads out of our tails and figure out that we need to get back to producing our own oil and fuels and get back. There's world events have really caught up with us. I mean, it was going up before the Ukraine deal and the Russian mess. And
it's because we stopped fracking.
Something terrible.
We stopped the pipelines.
And we shut off permitting. And
we're not going to drill anymore.
Yep. So, and we're going to, So at any rate, I just did notice that, and I went back and looked to see, and almost double what it was last year at this time.
So when you guys made the budget, obviously, you might have anticipated a bit of an increase, but I don't think
we budgeted.
double.
Yeah, we budgeted quite a bit more than what we spent last year, anticipating it was going higher because it already was some higher. Not as high as this though, so we'll have to take a look and go back accordingly. But that's one of the things we're dealing with, and we know the grader blades, the bids when we get those in, they're going to be more than what they've ever been. We're in the process right now of looking at a couple of graders now that are at the end of their lease purchase agreement and the warranty on them, and looking at trading those out, and those are much higher, like everything else, and months out before you can even get them.
I was going to say, if they're even available.
They are available, but we'll.
At a premium.
We'll get them and luckily we can still get them on the state bid, so which was done back sometime before some of this went. So anyway, so we're looking at that, but everything is just unbelievably higher than anybody could have anticipated. So.
And Darrell, I'm just thinking, and it's been discussed at the commissioner meetings, but it's not been put out yet, is for chip and seal.
Right.
And what kind of cost that's going to be.
Right.
With the price of oil.
We're going to be getting those bids out here before long.
And there may not be quite as much chip and seal done as anticipated.
Yeah, and I did want to mention too, we do have a hearing coming up again on another proposed road vacation, County Road 5490. Did get a petition to vacate that road, and there are several that have expressed concerns and things. So that hearing for that actually will be March the 24th, and it will be down at the Armory to accommodate more people. The courtroom was going to be busy across the street, so we're going to move down to the Armory on March the 24th at 10 a.m. for a hearing on that vacating of that road. Okay. So anyway,
very good.
And
very good.
And I say vacating that road, that's not a done deal at all. We have a hearing.
No.
If there's the whole thing when you're vacating a road is if the case is made that the road is useless, and there's quite a number making the argument no, the road is not useless. So
or if it's a glorified driveway up to your house because you own the property on all three sides.
Really, right. You can make an easy argument that we've had a few of those that those were useless to the public. This one's a little different, and there's quite an argument being made that it is not useless, and so therefore, but by statute, we still have to go through the process, have the hearing, and at that point,
because there was a petition that was sent in, and the commission
that's right
did allow for that. And that's why there's a hearing.
This isn't something the commission started and wanted to do, and so on. We've got to go by the process as outlined by statute. So that's where it's at, and there will be a hearing on March 24th at the Armory. So
very good. At 10
anyway,
o'clock.
I did want to
be at 10 o'clock. Again,
right.
As Darrell said.
Mention the Salem Run.
You can mention that.
I was reading your mind again, wasn't I?
You were actually. I had looked at that, but I was actually going to go to your Ozark River Solid Waste Management District Executive Board meeting first.
We'll get into that in a minute.
But we'll get into that in a minute. Right now, let's talk about the Salem 5K, the Salem 5K, 10K, and Color Run.
The Color Run, yes. Sherry Lee with Council for Healthy Dent County and Sean Bolerjack, they did come in to share with the County Commission some of the details about the Salem Run. It's going to take place on Saturday, May the 28th. And as you said, it'll be a 10K or 5K run, as well as a half-mile color run.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, at any rate, it'll be on 4th Street. A section of 4th Street will be closed off, and that section, as it goes by the courthouse, will be closed to the public there for a while that morning as they start up on 4th Street and end on 4th Street as they come back. So an interesting deal, and do appreciate Sherry Lee and Sean Bowlerjack coming in to share with us the details on that. And there'll be more information coming out as we get closer. This again is the end of May, Saturday, May the 28th. I think that's Memorial Day weekend.
It is.
Yep.
It is. And the streets that they did request being closed by the city Board of Aldermen did approve those. When they came to you, they hadn't had that approval yet. So
okay.
They just informed
figured they
you.
would, but at least that we knew pretty much that section going by the courthouse would be a piece of that they wanted to close. Right. So do appreciate their consideration and coming by, visiting with the commission on that stuff. So look forward to more information about that coming up.
Yep.
Somebody wants to join in a 10K or a 5K run.
Right.
And if your heart's not in 10K or 5K, well, think about the half mile.
Well, yeah, think about the color run. It's a lot of fun. And of course, if you like to be colorful, you're going to end up that way because they'll be throwing different things, dyes and stuff on you. It'll be a lot of fun. Have the kids out there; they love it. Yeah. And they had one up at the Tiger Trail here about I'm going to say 6 years ago when they first got that open. Oh man, that was everybody came back in all different colors. It was just a lot of
It does wash off easily.
It does wash off.
Don't worry, you won't be some odd color for a week or two.
But if you are going to go to the color run, you might want to bring a towel for your car. Because you may not be washed off yet before you get in the car, so you might want to do that. Yeah. But but it's a lot of fun, and the kids have a great time with it. And so yeah.
Okay, now we'll go on to meetings.
All right, you go ahead.
Lots of meetings.
Yeah, lots of meetings.
Story of my life. Yeah, but anyway, good meetings. Did attend an Ozark River Solid Waste Management District Executive Board meeting. I'm the vice chairman of that board, and but there's a lot of things we do. But and that's where we do the grants for solid waste reduction, recycling. We did review and approve several grant extensions and closeouts. The Solid Waste District will actually be participating in an illegal dump cleanup on the Mark Twain Forest here in Dick County. And I do want to mention we are deploying more cameras all the time as we get a chance where these illegal dumps are at. So for anybody's listening who is stupid enough to be going out and dumping on the county roads and out in the forest, look around and smile great big because we're going to be getting more and more pictures of you folks. And so at least your mug shot maybe will have a nice smiling face of you, and we're going to catch some more of these if we can. And it'll be a little bit of an expensive proposition when it's over. So it's really frustrating that we have these slugs of society that go out and dump their garbage out on the county roads and out in the forest. And the Solid Waste District, that's one of the things they've done is gone to try to help clean some of these illegal dumps up. And there's been a number of them around the region that they've cleaned up, and it's just unbelievable that we have that much of that goes on. And periodically, and I know the Sheriff's Department has investigated some on our county roads and found the people responsible, and they've had the pleasure of going and cleaning up their mess, along with quite a bit of stuff that maybe was or wasn't their mess, but they had to clean that up as well, and then they got to pay besides. So appreciate the sheriff's work on that. Appreciate the prosecutors pursuing some of those when we get good information. It's not always easy to get, but sometimes we do. I've helped myself get some information on some of those, and so anyway, so that's one of the things. Ozark Solid Waste District is they've got some cameras that they supply and get really nice pictures. So as I say, if you're one of those slugs that likes to go out and dump, well, be sure and look around and smile great big, because you just might be on candid camera.
And they're getting better at disguising them to where you can't see them.
That's
it used to be years ago, some people had the GoPros and they strap around that tree and you could see them pretty easy. They've got them now that they're so small, they look like a little leaf bud.
Some of them
don't even know.
And some of them some of these cameras these days, they'll take pictures and they'll actually send those pictures right then onto another location where they can be gathered.
Law enforcement site.
Yeah. So anyway, be aware of that and be thinking, and so hopefully we can surprise some folks with some information about their activities that they're probably not so proud of where they get presented with it. So, anyway.
But Darrell, I think that their idea is it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Don't worry about it.
No.
Nobody's going to see it down there. You know, that trash does not go away, blows around.
That's right.
It can create havoc. It can endanger wildlife if they eat some of that plastic and kill them.
Right.
Different things of that nature. So please don't be, whatever you take in the forest, you take out of the forest. Please don't go in there, just dump at you think it's a.
And let me say this:
deal.
if you're out there in the country and you see somebody go by with some bags of trash or maybe some interesting in the back of a pickup, sofa or chair or stove or some things, we'd appreciate it if you people out there just listening to this, if you can get a license number who some of these people are and you see that same vehicle a short time later and it doesn't have some of the stuff in the back, there's a good chance that they went down and dumped it, and that might be some information that local law enforcement could use to find the folks responsible for that, So anyway, be thinking about that. Every little bit helps, and if we all work together, we can help keep some of this stuff from happening that doesn't need to happen. I will mention along that line,
Sure.
kind of going back to Road and Bridge, one of the things that our crew's spent an inordinate amount of time doing is replacing stolen road signs and, just county road signs and things. So it's very frustrating. We've already spent a major part of the year's budget for signs, replacing signs. What the attraction is of them, I don't know. But again, that's a deal where I'd say somewhere down the road, some people doing this are going to find their mugshot on a camera, and we're gonna talk with our legislators and see if something can't be done to increase the penalties for people who steal, because these signs are important for emergency services to get to where they need to get to, and a life could be in danger as a result of emergency services not being able to find the roads they need to go down. And so anyway, just wanted to mention that too. So anyway, but that was one meeting. Wanted to mention too, a Transportation Advisory Committee meeting one afternoon over at MRPC. It's one of the subcommittees of regional planning where we all get together, talk across the region with MoDOT about transportation issues, and particularly mostly talking about state highway needs and roads. One of the things we went over at this last one was an update on various bridges, the conditions of various bridges across the MRPC region. Did note on there that the Highway 19 bridge here on the north edge of town over Spring Creek is deteriorating, is getting into a kind of close to a poor rating, and so we can be looking at somewhere down the road that'll be a bridge that'll have to be either repaired with major repairs or be slated for replacement. It's not on a list or not on a deal for right now, but it is on its rating, because MoDOT annually checks these bridges out and gives them scores. Would mention
amazing
too,
how fast sometimes they deteriorate. For years and years, that Boss Bridge down there on 32, they kept saying, it looks bad, but it's solid. It's absolutely solid. And then one year they came back, well, now it's starting to get a little closer to needing to be replaced.
Yeah, from one year to the next, they can go down a good bit. Do want to mention, one of our top priorities for a bridge replacement is actually to replace the low water crossing on Crooked Creek down at Sligo on Highway TT, and actually in the entire Merrimack region. After our top priority for Merrimack region has always been getting Highway 63 4-lane from Rolla all the way up to Jeff City. But at any rate, beyond that, then when we've prioritized them, that now is one of the top priorities in the entire Merrimack region to get a bridge put in there to replace that low water crossing. And so it is. We talked some time back. MoDOT is doing scoping work, and they are continuing that. Area engineer did visit with me some about that they are continuing that work and looking at the possibilities of how that might come to be. It's not on a schedule yet, but nothing happens until scoping and engineering work gets done. So that's a positive, and they are looking at that, and more information being gathered on possibilities of how that would work and getting that done. So I know people would like to hear that it's going to start X date, and we don't have that date yet. It's not going to be 2022 or 23. I can pretty well guarantee that.
No.
Hopefully maybe we can get it on a schedule for 24.
It's not on the 5-year STIP plan. It's not there
No,
yet.
but it could be added.
It can be added.
We'll work
but
on that.
Usually for the next 2 years or 3 years out, that's not speculative. That's already kind of been assigned.
Want to mention then too that at our MRPC board meeting itself, then we did hear we had our federal legislative reps either there or online, and our state reps have been good about coming in or participating online as well about every meeting. But this was our chance to visit with our federal legislative representatives about what's going on in Washington and so on. And one of the encouraging things, at least, that we did here is that in the last infrastructure bill, there's going to be billions of dollars in that thing, and there's going to be millions of dollars available in Missouri, even for various infrastructure grant dollars that local entities can apply for even. So we'll be looking at that. It's not quite out there yet and available, but we'll be looking at that and see how that works and talk about that some more as we learn a little more. So that's just one of the things that came out of that. I do want to mention, too, though, that one of the things of concern, at least from a property rights issue that concerns me, is and should concern all of us, is what was called the Waters of the U.S. The acronym was WOTUS, W-O-T-U-S, Waters of the U.S. That has been a grand plan that's been in the works for some time to give EPA expanded authority over virtually every drop of water wherever it falls. That we give EPA regulatory authority to come in and force
Tell you what you can
entities,
do with
people.
that water.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about that, this backs up even from almost the time that a drop of water runs out of your gutter on your house. That the EPA can be dictating where that goes, how it goes, what you can do, what you can't do, permitting you'd have to get, and it's a nightmare for municipalities, for counties, farmers, ranchers. I mean, they can slap requiring, you build a pond, and then that pond holds water, and then the EPA can come in and say, hold regulatory authority over your pond things. Previous presidential administration, by executive orders, shelved it, put it aside, and canceled it, which was good. Current administration has indicated they're full bore on re-implementing the Waters of the U.S.
But
plans.
they changed the name.
Well, yeah, they keep changing, but,
And I think they put it under HR, 12, was it, 1247, I believe?
That was just
It's a
passed.
$1.5 trillion. Basically, it's the omnibus spending bill.
That they just passed to keep the government in function. That has a whole raft of things in it that have nothing to do with good stuff, but it has a whole raft of things that we're going to be having to deal with.
A lot of regulatory stuff is in there.
2000, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to make folks be aware of that. That's something we're going to be watching and figuring out what we can do to combat that. And I know Congressman Smith and our federal U.S. senators and our U.S. congressional delegation, most of them are on board with where we're at on that. But we're going to have to be vigilant about that particular issue, particularly from a private property. I mean, it's frustrating enough even for the public entities like counties, cities, so forth, but it's really a serious private property rights issue too, is what they're trying to do with this.
Huge.
So anyway, so that's always been a concern of mine over the years, and here we go again. So anyway, seems like the feds have always got some grand design or scheme on trying to take away our private property rights.
It's called control, Darrell.
Yep. People control, like a lot of things that have happened.
Control
in the
the
last
water,
few-
you control the world.
That's right. Yep. Just a few years ago, they had the Department of Interior come up with this White River Blueways program, where the Department of Interior was going to be able to exercise control over watersheds that fed the White River. Well, people may not realize it and think about White River. Where's that? Well, the White River is basically starts off I don't know where it starts even, but you got Beaver Lake, Table Rock Lake, then Taneycomo, Bull Shoals, and Norfolk, and on down all the way goes all the way to the Mississippi. But when they were talking about the watershed of that, well, eventually the Current River flows into the White River before it makes it to the Mississippi, and the Current River then, of course, starts up here in Dent County, but the watershed there takes in Pigeon Creek and they're over Texas County, but also takes in all of Gladden Creek and all of our feeders. So it takes in a major portion of southern Dent County would then fall under that deal too, and fall under EP again, Department of Interior's deal of designs for what they were going to do to control. Anyway, we got that beat down, and they finally washed their hands of that and drove away. But they never disappear. They never leave completely. No, always sitting there. So anyway.
But people don't even realize, Darrell, when you say that, tributaries. I said, no, that includes any like little runoff creek on your property.
Yep.
There's no water in it now, but when it rains, all of a sudden there's water
Like
in it.
today.
And then all of a sudden, there you go.
Today.
It's now part of the watershed.
That's right. That's right. You're part of it. Every inch of ground is a part of a watershed. Somewhere, somehow. So anyway, so that's that's
Gets
it.
very frustrating, doesn't it?
Yep. Want to mention also, we did attend Commissioner Larson and Purcell and Commissioner Larson and Mowbray and I did attend the South Central County Commission Association meeting last Friday over at Houston. Took pretty much most of the day. And we had some good presentations. We also had several state legislators there, representatives and senators were in attendance. Representative Ron Copeland was there. He shared some more information as well about the broadband dollars that's going to be made available, as we talked about earlier. He also mentioned that he's got a bill that he's introduced that actually would reduce, many people may not realize right now, unless the county commission adopts an ordinance and sends it to the state for state approval, the speed limit on any county gravel road is 50 miles an hour unless we adopt an ordinance of some kind to change that, make it lower.
Or raise it if you want.
And if we do that, then we got to put signage on it because it isn't in effect unless we go ahead then and put signs on it. And as we talked about, those are difficult to keep. But at any rate, 50 miles an hour is too fast to be driving on a gravel road. They're curvy, hilly, so forth and so on. Sight distances aren't good. Room to pass isn't good in some instances. 50 miles an hour. And we've talked about this. Ron and I, Representative Copeland and I visited about this some. And, of course, he's former highway patrolman, and he understands very well the implications of that and the speed and stuff. So he's introduced.
Probably responded to a number of accidents on those roads.
So he's introduced legislation actually that would reduce that state speed limit on those roads to 40 miles per hour unless the local jurisdiction passed an ordinance. If we had a chip and seal road and the people want on that road a 45 or 50 mile an hour speed limit, it might be applicable and might be safe, and we can do that. It also still leaves it up if it's a congested area or whatever, we can still, just like it is right now, make a lower speed limit of 30 or 35, 25 in some cases. So anyway, it doesn't really impact anything we'd have to do other than it would lower that speed limit from 50 to 40 and then would eliminate the need for us to have to try to put signage up on everything. And it also simplifies it for law enforcement. If they're out on a road, and that's pretty well understood now, and everybody has it, as it would come into effect, it would become more familiar with law enforcement. If it's not signed otherwise, the speed limit's 40. If they caught somebody doing 50 or 55 miles an hour flying down a gravel road, then they would have legitimate reason to be able to stop and say, hey, speed limit's 40, pal. You might want to slow it down a little bit.
One of the things about gravel roads that, Darrell, you've been driving them forever and ever and ever. But a lot of times we have people that come down who are visiting. And they've never driven on a gravel road in their life, and all of a sudden they have to go off. Maybe they're down around Cedar Grove or whatever for the very first time, and they're driving on a gravel road, and then they start picking up their speed. And then I remember talking to one person who came down and visited. He said, I was going down that hill towards Cedar Grove trying to hit my brakes. Said, I just kept going. I said, yeah, because you're on gravel. You just keep rolling with the gravel. Gravel just shifts underneath your wheels.
You're kind of like driving on marbles sometimes.
He goes, I thought I was going to end up in that river down there. I said, it can happen. Yeah. You don't want to be
back in the day before we chip and sealed it.
Oh, yeah.
But that's an example.
There's the other side road that comes down, and he was going fast. Now, why would you be going fast on these roads? You don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you're right. And then the dust, not even to speak about that in the summertime. We know how dusty those roads can get.
Yep.
If you got 3 or 4 cars going down there and you're the last one there, you can't see anything.
That's right. Yep. You may go rolling, sliding right into them.
And if they stop in front of you, you're not going to know it.
Yeah. So anyway, that was interesting. Representative Copeland also has a piece of legislation that would require, in counties where the state and federal government already own 20% or more of the land in a county, that would require the state, before they could purchase more land in the county, to come to the county commission, explain what they were doing and why, and get the county commissions to sign off approval for this purchase. And a lot of this goes back, Ron's current district, which is going to change. Copeland's current district includes Dent, Shannon, Oregon County. If you look at the figures, you'll find that the poorest counties in the state of Missouri are those counties in which a large portion of the land in that county is state and federal owned. There's not much economic activity, economic. You can say there's tourism, and yes, tourism is major. We love tourism. It's a major contributor to our economy. But when you take a county where 20% or more of that land in that county is state, federal owned, it chokes off economic activity in that county, and those are your poorest per capita income counties in the state. And we had a situation a few years ago down in Oregon County where the state moved in and swooped in and bought up an 1,100-acre operating ranch down there to make a state park. Well, they ran into some problems because of some easement issues and things, because the ranch bordered the 11-Point River, and there were some problems there. But the point was, a lot of the folks down there, and the county commission was very upset. It took that property off the tax rolls. They will argue that they make payment in lieu of taxes, but it never makes up for the loss of what that economic activity was for that county. And those counties that are already suffering then suffered another huge loss, and that just by virtue of that. And they basically told it. So anyway, it's an interesting piece of legislation, and I think Ron's done a good job of educating some of the other legislators up there about why he's introduced it and what the effect is of them. And again, if it's a legitimate need, it shouldn't affect any agency that's looking to add to their holdings and stuff. So at any rate, it's interesting, and I appreciate his introducing that, and we'll see where it goes this session. Many times a first year of introduction of a piece of legislation may not make it, but at least it starts the discussion and the education process and can go from there. So anyway, so that's it. And Ron did share that down at the meeting down at Houston with the group, along with the things. So anyway.
Yeah, and one of the things, Darrell, that we were actually looking at the Missouri Department of Conservation Commission's meeting they're going to have next week. When these state and federal agencies come in, there's a lot of things that may need to be done in the national forest or on the conservation areas, like maybe thinning out some timber and stuff. But unless they dictate it and say, okay, this is what we're going to allow and do, and we're only going to sell this amount of board feet of whatever we get, that's what you're limited to. It's by their idea of what we need to do, and not maybe by the necessity of what the conditions call for. Then you have to wait for all the red tape to get done before they can even get started. And I can honestly tell you, I would think as a businessman, you may get tired of waiting for this, and who knows what the price is going to be. Look, if you would have had board foot bid out a year ago compared to today, holy cow.
Yeah.
You're not going to make any money.
Yeah. It's a different animal altogether. Yeah. So anyway, so that's just one, and one thing we talked about there, along with lots of things.
I'm sure there's a lot of things.
Travis Elliott, the Missouri Association of Counties attorney, was there at that meeting as well and updated the commissioners about the latest ARPA rules and so forth and so on, and so that was good. So speaking of Travis, I did miss the commission meeting yesterday. I was at a meeting in Springfield with the county's attorney on this Department of Revenue issue. We did contract with the firm of Ellis, Hammonds, and Johnson down at Springfield, which Travis Elliott is an associate with them. He is the attorney for the Missouri Association of Counties. As we work through this issue with Department of Revenue, I can't really comment too much yet on that, other than still frustrating.
Still ongoing.
Still a battle, seems like, to get all the information that we've requested to try to ascertain for sure what's happened and why and how. But we're proceeding on, and I actually was on the phone with Mr. Elliott again this morning when I pulled up here at the station, going over some more details, and he'll be getting back to me here next week. I suspect what we did, I went down there and participated with Travis on a Zoom meeting with Department of Revenue, and they had 3 of their staff who have worked on this at length, on this Department of Revenue sales tax mess that they made. And again, it's their mess that they made. We're paying for it, but it's the mess that they made. And along with their attorney and their lead general counsel, came on the Zoom meeting for just a short time. Very unimpressive, but at any rate, we'll get back. They seem to take issue that we want this information, and yet. It's information we need to try to verify that their numbers are correct, and how did they arrive at the numbers, and why did this happen, first of all. That's the information we want to know, because if you don't know why and how it happened, then then you're kind of vulnerable to it happening again. And that's one of the things we want to arrive at, to make sure it doesn't happen again to us. And I want to make sure that it doesn't happen again to some other county. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been an interesting thing as we go through, but we'll get to the bottom of it. So anyway, but that's why I wasn't at the meeting yesterday. It was nice leisurely trip to Springfield early yesterday morning and got back later yesterday afternoon. So anyway,
it was a nice day to drive.
Well, it was, but I could have thought of a jig and things on a nice day like yesterday to have been doing, other than sitting in an office.
You could have been doing your leprechaun dance and all that good stuff on St. Patty's Day instead of talking to them, right?
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of the update on that.
Yeah, very good. It is election time, Darrell. We have a municipal election actually coming up very soon, and there are some critical dates coming up.
Absentee voting is going on right now, so you'll be voting for school board members, depending on where you live, city council, mayor, so forth and so on. There is a 1/4 cent sales tax renewal for the county that's on that ballot, and and that one is just when we put that on the ballot in 2015, it did have a 7-year sunset, so it's up time for that. It's not a sales tax increase. It's just to maintain the current 1/4 cent sales tax that is already in place, and so
that's big,
folks.
If you want to mail out a ballot, you need to do that by next Wednesday. It's the last day to do that, to mail out a ballot, and they will be testing the machines, the voting machines, at 9 o'clock on the 22nd of March.
Yep, and absentee voting is going on right now,
all the way through the 4th.
Yep. So,
and they'll have a opportunity for you to get in and do that. And I did kind of want to point out. If anybody does have any questions, sample ballots are available at the Dent County Clerk's office. You can go there and pick up a sample ballot.
Yes.
Now, the sample ballot will include everybody. So if you get a sample ballot, if you're a Northwood voter or if you're an Oak Hill voter, it will have on the R80 ones as well. You will not vote on those when you go to vote, but you will know which ones are appropriate for your area.
So anyway, wanted to mention just a couple other things. Collector Shannon Van Kirk did come in and share with us her annual settlement for all taxes collected.
You need to maybe explain why it's an annual settlement, because here it is March. What are you talking about, Darrell? The year is over back in December.
Well, but for the collector, their tax collection year ends a little bit later.
February 28th.
Right, the end of February. And so then come March, then she works putting all those figures together for what's called the annual settlement. Right. And that's why even the collector's actual term of office runs a little different than, So anyway, collector's annual settlement was about almost $400,000 higher than what it was the previous year. It was about, I think it was $8,799,000 this year. Previous year, 21, it was $8,400,000. So it was good that people come in and got those all paid up and squared away. So,
and of that money, over $5 million goes to schools. So when people sit there and say, I pay my taxes, $5 million that goes to your schools. County doesn't even get $1 million of that with road and bridge and general revenue combined. Right.
Yeah, our portion of that is relatively small compared to when you take all the various other entities. But again, the bulk of that does go to support your schools. Right. So always might think about that.
Keep in mind.
So, and then I wanted to also mention that the commission did sign and approve a memorandum of understanding that went out to all the counties that are involved in the opioid litigation, and it's being settled. And the state did ask for a memorandum of understanding for all the counties to sign in regards to the settlement and distribution of those proceeds. And there's thousands and thousands and millions of dollars that are going to go out, but it isn't like we're going to get this big pool of money that just gets laid in our lap. We do whatever. It comes with the requirements and strings and programs that will have to be put in place regarding opioid use and abuse and so forth and so on. So, but that's fine. We'll work on that. So we did get that approved. So I think that kind of catches me up.
Pretty well is it, my friend. Pretty well
catches me up. Yep.
Besides the rain. We're about caught up.
I'm going to mention one other thing here, and I'll probably mention it here Monday morning in the commission meeting. But this coming Tuesday, March the 22nd. You know what that significant date for that is, Stan? Exactly 1 year ago, on March the 22nd, it was a Monday. But on 1 year ago, March the 22nd, the county commission approved, signed the Dent County Second Amendment Preservation Act. We've got that proudly framed. I'm proud to have my name on that. And the Second Amendment is our right to keep and bear arms. And we signed that and approved it on March the 22nd of 2021. It's now framed and hanging on the wall by the commission office door. So I did want to mention that. Yeah. And I've mentioned this before. When you watch what's been going on over in Ukraine and you hear them people, and you know, they're asking for they're asking for jets, and they're asking for all kinds of things. One of the things them people though have been asking for and begging for is even arms and ammo that
rifles.
They can have used themselves. And so at any rate, if you never thought the Second Amendment was important, watch what's happening over there in Ukraine, and because none of the rest of the freedoms that we enjoy are worth anything if we don't have the Second Amendment to back it up. And that's for us to back it up if need be. You know, when the Second Amendment when the Second Amendment is taken away from you, then tyranny will prevail, and that's just the way it is. So anyway, very proud that we were able to do that. The sheriff brought that in, and we worked on that. Again, Travis Elliott helped put that together. There's nothing in it that keeps keeps the sheriff's office from being able to do their job in arresting felons and doing those things. But it does have in there that stated that we won't tolerate law-abiding citizens' Second Amendment rights being violated. So.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful document. And by the way, Ron Copeland has that up at the state as well.
Sitting in his office.
Exactly. It's down at Bob Wells' office.
If the guys are listening, I'm real proud of, and every time I get my hair cut down at Mr. Jim's, they've got a copy of it framed hanging on the wall.
There you go.
Yeah. So
there you go. The only other thing I saw here, Darrell, that happened when I was not at the meeting was on the flat project on the Cooley Bridge. That there was a little meeting there with the engineers. Greg Wood, Joni Pringer with MoDOT, and Great Rivers Engineering with Jeff Banderat.
Yeah, right. That's an ongoing project, and as we work through
update on that.
Work through the various issues, there was one of the MoDOT people had a question about the right-of-way acquisition and how that was handled or done or whatever, in which that was just Forest Service. I mean, it's all where that's at is Forest Service on either side, and Forest Service signed over an easement to do whatever to do that. So we basically bounced that back to them to go work and figure it out with Forest Service and get in. If something else needs to be done, we can do that. But so anyway, but yeah, it's as far as I know, everything's still moving forward on it.
So, the state and federal work that out.
Yep.
Keep the local people out of it.
There you go. There you go.
Very good. We want to thank Darrell for coming in, spending a rainy morning with us here in Dent County. And, of course, Darrell comes the first and third Mondays of the month. And we anticipate seeing him again on April Fool's Day.
April 1st, April Fool's.
Yeah, wow. We'll do that. We won't be messing around. We'll be telling you the honest-to-goodness truth. Well, we might have a little bit.
I'm going to say we mentioned a minute ago about Ukraine, and I am going to encourage folks, keep the people of Ukraine in your prayers, especially the children, those refugees. Yeah. It's a sad, sad, sad thing that's happening, a horrific thing that's happened to those folks. So please keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and especially the children, the women and children, and the elderly, and those refugees that are trying to escape the carnage that's happening to them. And hopefully, and pray for the leaders of our countries that wise decision will be made as to what we do moving forward.
Absolutely. Yep. We should also remind everybody, and again, we want to stress this, we're getting some thunderstorms in the area, and the rain's been coming down pretty good. The ground is thawing, but it's still saturated. Water's going to be running off. Low water crossings, we have a bunch of them in Dent County.
Be careful. Do not cross low water. There'll be a better time to cross it than when the water's running through there.
Right, exactly. But also with this rain, come tomorrow with the road rally, please watch for your parking. Do not park out in the field where you're going to sink.
It's going to be a mess.
And you're going to be possibly parking, even if people say it's their private property and they say, yeah, you can park there, please use a little common sense. Yep. Don't park where you're going to be actually just digging ruts. They're going to have to go fix them later on. And that, you know as well as I do, Darrell, once it dries out, those ruts sometimes they're caked. You can't even get them out. It takes
Yes,
a
I
long
do.
time to fill them in.
Yes, I do. I know.
So we want to remind people to please think of your neighbors. If you're going to be out there watching the road rally, we want you to go out there and do that, absolutely. But again, think of those neighbors and their property when you're out there. And if you take anything to the road rally with you, you bring it back out.
That's right. Carry it out.
I don't have anything else to say, but we do want to thank Darrell again. He pays for this program out of his pocket. No county money, no tax dollars. I don't know. You might get donations for somebody, and that might happen.
No, I don't think.
I know it's coming out of your
Haven't
checkbook.
seen that. No, that's all right.
I think that's fine, but it is paid for out of Darrell's own pocket. So we really appreciate him. We've been doing this for many years, and hopefully you're getting something out of it. I was looking the other day on some of our old shows that we've recorded and put back, and depending upon what we're talking about, I think the one with Sally had like 75 people that went back and looked at it after the
You might
fact.
mention that people can go back and pull this program up on your internet archives and review it and listen and
That's right.
so on.
It is on our YouTube, and you want to go back and you can check that out, and it is labeled and the date's on there, so you can go if you know what date it is.
And it's running live as we do this. Running live on the internet, correct?
Absolutely. Yes,
you know, I had a guy one day at the service as I was filling up with gas. Actually, I was filling up with diesel, and tell me that his cousin was either in Norway or Sweden. I forget which country. He was telling me that his cousin had contacted him, but had been listening to this to our radio program. And by, I think at that time in the afternoon, it was like 4 or 5. As we're doing this, it's 4 or 5 o'clock or something like that. I don't remember the time over there. But his cousin had contacted him later that evening that he'd heard something that we'd been talking about, and that really caught his interest. And that really
I didn't
really
even find out that things over there and here aren't all that different.
So Putin, if you're listening, get your butt out of there. Okay.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
right. So that's the way we'll end that.
Again, Darrell, thanks again for coming here, and thanks for all you do and the meetings you go to. And I know that yesterday was probably a pretty frustrating day, but
yes, sir.
But nonetheless, tomorrow's another day, and be listening for those turkeys to gobble. It'll happen real soon.
I'm waiting. Yes, sir. All right, Stan, I do enjoy it. I do appreciate the chance to do the program here. Put a little more information out for folks than what they've been able to maybe hear or read about. So, but we will be back here on April Fool's Day in a couple of weeks. And until then, I do hope everyone will be safe, happy, healthy, and God bless each and every one.